Live from KSAT12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
New on the Nightbeat, several vehicles involved in a major crash. It happened on the city's south side near Somerset Road.
And we're now learning one woman suffered a non-life-threatening injury to her leg. The night team Stephen Cavazos spoke with a witness who relived the terrifying moments leading up to that crash.
Pieces of debris, multiple vehicles beyond damaged, and first responders working quickly. A scene that played out on I35 northbound near Somerset this evening.
The Charger was going real fast. It looked like a missile.
Robert Rodriguez says he was driving with his wife in the opposite direction when they saw that Charger coming their way. Rodriguez saying he had no time to react.
It was right off the bat. I just moved out of the way, praying that I don't get hit.
It's still unclear how many people were injured, but 2 people seen here taken in an ambulance. But Rodriguez says he tried to help in the aftermath.
They were hurt. They were really hurt. They have no idea where they were.
Now you can see here that investigators are still working to clear this scene. You can actually, those vehicles that were involved in that crash getting towed off at this moment. Now we were able to get a few more details surrounding that crash. Investigators say a Corolla and Charger had collided in the southbound lane and went into the grassy median, which caused the Corolla to crash head-on into a Nissan Maxima. Now that Charger ended up crashing into an SUV. Now pieces of debris are still here along I35. We're told that the northbound lane is expected to be closed off until this entire scene has been cleared off, so use caution if you do travel in the area. Now, the exact cause of the crash is still under investigation at this time. For now, reporting live, Stephen Cavazos, KSAT12 News. Tim, Courtney.
Thank you, Stephen. Also new in the Nightbeat, we've learned the name of a man killed in a head-on crash on the northeast side. The Barrett County Medical Examiner has identified him as 32-year-old Omar Duran. San Antonio police say Duran crashed into another SUV on Green Mountain Road around 7:30 last night. They say he was speeding and hit railroad tracks, which caused him to lose control. Duran was pronounced dead at the scene. The other driver was taken to the hospital and is expected to be okay.
A lot of money, a lot of questions, and a lot of people whose wedding dreams are now part of a nightmare. Noah's event venue, a place for weddings and special occasions, apparently closing its doors in San Antonio with no warning to customers, something that's already happened in many other cities. The sudden closing having a painful impact on people desperate to get back money they've already spent. The night team's Japhanie Gray spoke to some families in a panic over what will happen next.
What should have been tears of joy on her wedding day scheduled for March are tears of frustration after she learned the venue she and her husband invested over $10,000 in is shutting down. The couple married 7 years ago and had been investing for an official wedding ceremony.
My wedding dress, his suit, none of this was cheap.
Letitia Sanford White and her husband Badia booked at Noah's event venue in July, but got the news today about the company filing for bankruptcy without warning.
I'm called about almost 10-15 times a day alone. Nobody answered.
We've made payments, this whole time. It may mean that we don't have a wedding.
It's a major problem that's left families across the country scrambling for answers.
I want to know what is going on, and am I getting my money back?
When we look on the internet, under all the closures, it is multiple women screaming, crying.
This soon-to-be wife, who asked not to be identified, says she's out $6,000. This woman, who has a major birthday party scheduled for next week, out nearly $1,000.
An easy solution is they could have changed their voicemail and said, "We are closing."
The Whites say they do plan to seek legal action against Noah's event venue.
This is a big hit, a big slap in the face.
As they search for another venue, they're encouraging others to not let this crush their dreams. And she has this to say to the company.
They have played this game with a lot of people, with a lot of people's lives, a lot of people's money, family, memories. Shame on them.
Now, we did speak with the directors of the venue, and they told me, in fact, today was the last day that they were holding their final wedding. They also told me they were also caught off guard by the closures, saying that their entire staff will be out of a job tomorrow. Now, one of the directors did tell me that their corporate offices released a statement to them saying that starting on Monday, they plan to have their attorneys reach out to all of the clients to talk about how they plan to move forward. Japhanie Gray, KSAT12 News.
Thank you, Jaffney. A fight between two men ends with one stabbed and the other on the run. San Antonio police say the victim was stabbed in the hip around 2:30 this morning at a home on Porter Street by South Mittman on the east side. They say the men were fighting for unknown reasons, and at one point, one pulled out a knife and stabbed the other. Neither of the men lived at that home, and at last check, the victim was expected to be okay.
San Antonio police reminding residents to pay attention to crosswalk signs after a pedestrian-involved car accident this evening. It happened at the intersection of St. Mary's and McCullough near downtown. Police say the driver was making a turn onto McCullough when a woman and boy were crossing. The little boy pushed out of the way before the car hit. Both were treated on scene for minor injuries. The driver did cooperate with police and will not face any charges.
Around Texas now, Arlington police say a 16-year-old is dead after being shot Thursday for standing up to a bully at the school the day before. The teen has been identified as Samuel Reynolds. The 15-year-old suspect, who's still in middle school, is in custody and faces a murder charge. Police say the suspect and Reynolds lived in the same apartment complex. Security cameras capture the suspect pulling out a .40 caliber gun and shooting Reynolds. Many are questioning how the teen got the gun in the first place.
And that's something that we want answers for. We are sick and tired of children in our community coming into contact with firearms and possessing them and using them in these types of manner.
Reynolds expected to be laid to rest this week. Arlington High School flying its flag at half-staff and offering grief counselors.
A deadly day for U.S. forces in Afghanistan. U.S. military officials say there are multiple U.S. casualties following an attack on a joint U.S.-Afghanistan operation today. The total number of casualties and wounded is not known tonight. A statement from a spokesperson for the U.S. forces in Afghanistan saying the troops were, quote, engaged by direct fire on February 8. We are assessing the situation and will provide further updates as they become available, end quote. Around 1,300 U.S. troops are currently serving in Afghanistan. Fear spreading on that quarantine cruise ship off the coast of Japan. At least 12 Americans on board are now among 64 people with the coronavirus.
The U.S. Embassy also confirming a 60-year-old American victim has died in the hospital in Wuhan, China, which is the epicenter of the outbreak. So far, at least 723 people have died worldwide, more than 34,000 people infected. New evacuees under quarantine are now in Nebraska. That happening one day after the group of evacuees was dropped off at the JBSA Lackland here in San Antonio. There are still no reported cases in Texas. Now to politics, Democrats making the final push ahead of the New Hampshire primary. Tensions among the candidates reaching new heights over the weekend. Contenders launching attack ads. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders and former Mayor Pete Buttigieg, the frontrunners in the Granite State, have become early targets.
Tonight, 2020 Democratic presidential hopefuls scrambling to gain an edge with voters ahead of the country's first primary.
Hello, New Hampshire.
The candidates addressing a crowd at a dinner hosted by the New Hampshire Democratic Party.
I've been winning unwinnable fights pretty much all my life.
But earlier in the day, the candidates crisscrossing the state, packing their schedules with rallies, speeches, and forums. After 7 of them stood on the debate stage Friday night in the party's most contentious debate yet. Former South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg's modest resume, the center of attention.
We have a newcomer in the White House, and look where it got us. I think having some experience is a good thing.
The Biden campaign piling on, releasing a new online video, putting the former vice president's decades-long experience in Washington alongside the two-term mayor.
Under threat of a nuclear Iran, Joe Biden helped to negotiate the Iran deal. And under threat of disappearing pets, Buttigieg negotiated lighter licensing regulations on pet chip scanners.
Buttigieg firing back, saying the ads belittle the residents of South Bend. Senator Sanders utilizing his backyard advantage, also taking on what he calls the Washington establishment.
If you read these articles out, the establishment is beginning to get nervous. People want health care for all. How do we stop it? Well, they ain't gonna stop it.
President Donald Trump expected to hold a rally on Monday on the eve of that primary.